Hello and welcome to Supplier Soundbytes, S&P Global Mobility's concise Autology podcast series, where we sit down with supplier experts to unpack what's really changing in automotive and why it matters. One topic, one clear takeaway in under 5 minutes. Today we're delighted to be joined by Jake Morris, Portfolio Director for Steer-by-Wire at ZF. Hi Jake, great to have you with us.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you very much for the invite.
You're most welcome. We'll be exploring how Steer-by-Wire is moving from long-term concept to real-world deployment and what that shift means for vehicle architecture, OEM strategy, and the future driving experience. Jake, Steer-by-Wire has been talked about for many years, but this year feels different. From your perspective, what's changed recently that's pushed it from someday to it's actually happening now, would you say?
You're right. Steer-by-Wire has been discussed for many years, but what's fundamentally changed is the rapid shift towards software-defined vehicles, electrified architecture, which really provides the foundations for new technology introduction. And this is the real enabler for Steer-by-Wire. And additionally, that then positions Steer-by-Wire as the cornerstone technology for a new era of integrated motion control in next generation electric platforms. And at ZF, we were building on over 80 years of chassis experience and leadership to deliver Steer-by-Wire systems with high integrity actuators, redundant safety architectures, seamless integration really into the vehicle's broader motion control domains. And I think combining that with the electric vehicle characteristics we're seeing now on the markets with instant torque, regenerative braking, new packaging opportunities, Steer-by-Wire really becomes a game changer. And I think in combination with opportunities like our cubic software, where steering, braking, damping, propulsion systems operates with a coordinated control environment, this really gives the OEM the ability to define steering characteristics through software updates and ensure consistent dynamic across multiple platforms. So I suppose the shift isn't really all about just removing a mechanical link. It's providing the control architecture for the new era of software-defined vehicle. And that era, I suppose, is now here, therefore Steer-by-Wire too.
That's great. Very interesting summary of that. Thank you very much. When you look at OEM programs today, what's the toughest hurdle remaining for Steer-by-Wire at scale, would you say? I'm just wondering, is it regulation, customer acceptance, system complexity, or is there something less obvious that doesn't get talked about enough?
So the hurdle today isn't the core technology anymore. That's ready. Really, and we already have production validated Steer-by-Wire systems with redundancy, the safety, the performance that meets global expectations and regulations. So that's done, that's ready. I think the real challenge is the smart system level integration into this new era of platforms we're seeing on the market. And it's not just about replacing a mechanical product with a software defined system. It's how you integrate Steer-by-Wire into the chassis as a whole. In that integration with braking, damping, propulsion systems, you need to align the interfaces, the control strategies, but still maintain, as opposed to the brand-specific driving and steer feel that an OEM wants to deliver on the market and be known for. And that's where ZF have been investing heavily, really, is to ensure at a chassis level we have the actuators that operate with common control languages and allow OEMs to scale Steer-by-Wire across multiple platforms efficiently. Reducing complexity, I think that's a key thing. Reduce the complexity, but allow them not to sacrifice the identity of their brands. And for me, the real value proposition of Steer-by-Wire is really within that feature and functional benefits, combined with genuine reuse across platforms, with a real view of having a single design, almost a single validation pathway, the full vehicle integration. That's what, to me, the key things that to me this forward in a scalable introduction.
Super interesting. Thank you very much indeed. I just wonder, once you remove the mechanical link between the steering wheel and the road wheels, what really changes? not just technically, but in how vehicles are designed, packaged, and ultimately experienced by drivers.
I think once you remove that mechanical link, you're not just changing a single component, you're changing what's possible within the entire vehicle. Obviously, technically, still a wire just decouples the steering wheel and the front axle. And that opens up huge degrees of freedom for engineers in terms of packaging, crash design, interior layouts. They no longer have that physical column or intermediate shaft running from the cabin through to the engine bay. It also allows flexibility and adaptability around steering ratios. So a system can adapt the steering characteristics to speed or certain use cases such as parking or even driver preferences in real time. So the driver's interface really is no longer constrained by the mechanical connection. And I think for drivers, that translates into a purely, of course, software-defined experience where the steering and the steer feel can be tailored to a brand or to a platform or updated over time to a point where the vehicle is no longer set when it's produced. Over the vehicle's life, the steering performance, the characteristics can be updated by over-the-air software. So really, I think also interiors, I mean, it really opens up a new era of concepts around flexible cockpits and automated driving, a steering wheel that may retract into the dashboard or not rotate in certain conditions, stay dormant in certain use cases. So I think it's less about what you lose with StimOI, but more about what freedoms and driver experiences you can really unlock.
That's great. It opens up a lot. Thank you very much indeed. Just one final point. If you could leave our listeners with one key takeaway about steer-by-wire as we head further into this year, what should they be watching most closely, would you say?
Well, StimOI, from a ZF point of view, StimOI will be introduced in all three major automotive regions this year, which allows us continuous real-life data and feedback on future over-the-air updates and continuously looking at future development cycles. And this will really, I think, also, that introduction will transform the chassis from, I suppose, a set of components into really a truly intelligent system. An intelligent chassis is not just, I suppose, a nicer car to drive. It elevates performance, comfort, and safety for everyone on board, with the steering, braking, damping all working together. So for me, the key takeaway is StimOI is not just a new technology. It's really the foundation of the next generation of software-defined driving experience, a fully tunable, adaptable steering experience without the mechanical constraints of the past. And I think as OEMs adapt and take on board steer-by-wire technologies, particularly from ZF, they gain that freedom around interiors, driving mode, levels of customization over the air. So I think pay attention. The steer-by-wire will evolve not just, I suppose, a technical milestone of that introduction, to really helping define the brand identity of OEMs and the user experiences on multiple new platforms within this year.
That's great. Thank you very much for joining us, Jake. It's been most interesting. And that's all we have time for this episode of Supplier Soundbytes from S&P Global Mobility. Thank you very much for spending a few minutes with us. If you found this conversation useful, please do follow us on LinkedIn for more insights from across the supplier ecosystem. And keep an eye out for new episodes coming soon. Bye for now.